The city of Tshwane has been in a severe liquidity challenge for a number of time, for quite a long period now. We also have an unfunded budget. We have been mandated by National Treasury that we need to cut down on expenses, that we need to move to a funded budget, and that we need to make sure that we increase our income and ensure that we repair our liquidity situation. So the basic situation is in the city of Tshwane, we have a revenue base. We exceed that every month with the expenses. And we also have a culture of non-payment, which contributes to a cash shortage in the city. So not a very good picture, but one that our new mayor, Cilliers Brink, is committed to fix and to take the big and bold decisions needed to do so.
And Peter, maybe if you could just elaborate for us, how did the city even get here?
Well, look, it's been a case of a number of years. It's not a new thing, but I think the most dramatic situation occurred during the 2020 COVID, where obviously COVID was something out of our control. But we saw as a result of COVID that payment levels dropped substantially, and that due to economic circumstances and the environment we found ourselves in during COVID, it had a major impact on the cash resources of the city. But in most cases, the expenses continued. But also coupled to that is the illegal administration process that we had in 2020. You will recall the city was placed under administration, which was later overturned by the courts. And in that time, the city recorded a 4.2 billion rand deficit under the administrators of the city. And that obviously drained more of the cash resources. So in the past, I have spoken about the fact that the city of Tshwane does not have any cash resources left. We don't have any short-term cash funding, and we are completely reliable on the cash we collect on a month-to-month basis. So that was the main part, and we haven't really been able to recover from that since 2020. Once the culture is also festered of non-payment, it becomes very difficult to fix. We've had initiatives like the Tshwane Yatima campaign, which has had a major impact on the city of recovery. But yes, that's part of the reason why we are where we are.
And Cilliers Brink, the mayor of Tshwane, has spoken of selling off buildings to make up, of course, for the shortfall. There is also now the issue of saying that some of the measures being put in place, there will be no salary increases. Is this enough to make up for the shortfall?
Absolutely not enough. But it's some of the drastic decisions we have to take to ensure that we protect income and salaries for the staff. So the decision of a 0% staff increase hasn't come lightly. But the aim is to ensure that we continue to protect salaries so that we can pay salaries as opposed to giving increases and not being able to pay salaries. We also have to bear in mind we have a mandate and a constitutional mandate to provide services to residents. And that's where our focus is. So all the steps we are taking are geared around to ensure that we continue with service delivery, because that's our core mandate. That's what we exist for. And of course, Mayor Cilliers Brink has a plan with some of the unused assets of the city. But I want to qualify it and make it also very clear that it's a responsible matter. None of the assets that are needed for critical service delivery will be part of that plan. But the aim is, and which I support Mayor Cilliers Brink with his plan, is that we need to come back to the core mandates of the city. And that is to provide services to residents. And anything outside of that scope, anything that is costing the taxpayers money, which is not geared towards providing those services that we are mandated by the Constitution to do, we need to sell off and rather put them in the hands of the private sector that can use them better.
And it brings me to this question: how has this actually affected the residents of Tshwane when it comes to service delivery? You are saying that your main core focus is to deliver services. Have you been able to deliver those services?
Well, look, I think it's It's a very difficult question. Yes, we are providing services. Can we improve on service delivery? Absolutely. I think we can do a lot more to improve on service delivery and to make sure that we provide the basic services as mandated by the Systems Act and by the Constitution. But yes, we need to make sure that we take the bold steps now to ensure we don't land up in a situation where we simply become a service provider or a labor broker, where we only pay salaries. And that can easily happen. So bold decisions need to be taken, and we need to remind ourselves and remind the municipality at all times that the providing and the provision of electricity, water, sanitation, waste collection, and a functional municipality that is safe for residents, that has roads that people can actually travel on, and a few other matters sustained to that as part of the Constitution, is what we exist for. That's what we do, and that's what we need to do. We can never allow ourselves to have that totally collapsed and not to provide those services. So it's always a tough decision. I don't think there's any municipality in South Africa that can really feel satisfied at all times with the service delivery they give. There's always room for improvement. And our focus is definitely on that, and to acknowledge and to respect the fact that residents pay for service delivery, and we need to provide those services.
Last week Friday in council, councillors in the city of Tshwane failed to pass the adjustments budget. How far are you in terms of communicating with the province, in terms of avoiding to place the city under administration? Because I understand that it has been extended for quite some time now, that deadline. You know, what is the province saying to you in terms of your adjustments budget?
Well, look, in all the previous times, and you're 100% correct, ma'am, the adjustments budget by law was supposed to be passed by the 28th of February. But due to the circumstances and the political circumstances in the city of Tshwane, we did apply for extension to the province, which was granted to us. We have, again, after Friday, the failure to pass the adjustments budget, have applied again for an extension. We are quite confident we will receive that extension, and we will bring the adjustments budget back to council by the end of this month. And I'm confident we will pass the adjustments budget then. I am not concerned at this point in time that we are in danger of being placed under administration due to the adjustments budget not being passed in council yet.